Fortaleza is the capital city of the federal state of Ceará, a jewel and much liked tourist attraction of Nordeste, that is, the northeast of Brazil. Due to its geographical location, it is a starting point for those wishing to visit different natural sites in the state of Ceará, but other attractions in the northeastern part of the country are also within easy reach from here. On arrival in Fortaleza, you will realize at once that water and sunshine are abundant. The history of the city goes back to 1603, when the settlements of Forte de Santiago and Nova Lisboa were founded by Pedro Coelho de Sousa from the Azores. After a few decades of French and Dutch invasion, the settlement was retaken by the Portuguese, who established the present historic city centre surrounding the fortress called Fortaleza da Nossa Senhora de Assunção. The birth of the city is set to the 13th of April 1726, when the number of the inhabitants already reached 2,000. It was given the title of town by Dom Pedro I in 1823, who named it Fortaleza da Nova Bragança and made it the capital of Ceará. From that time on, the town saw continuous development. It became a Brazilian metropolis during the Second World War as a result of the industrial growth. The city has always had a varied cultural life. One of the cultural centers today is the impressive Centro Dragão da Mar in a setting of colonial style just a few hundred meters away from Iracema Beach, Praia de Iracema. The metal bridge, Ponte Metallica, stretches into the sea on Iracema Beach. It used to serve purposes of passenger shipping until 1940, only to become the favorite meeting spot in the city, also offering a wonderful view of the city and of the most spectacular sunset. In fact, Iracema Beach isn't suitable for swimming. However, more cafes, clubs and restaurants can be found here than anywhere else, which makes it a place much frequented by tourists. And here we are in Avenida Beira-Mar, near Iracema on Meireles Beach. It is, from all aspects, the most elegant and most popular beach in the city, with the best hotels, a nice and wide seaside promenade and bustling crowds. The water, however, is probably not the best for swimming because of the nearby port. We're carrying on along the seaside through Praia do Mucuripe towards our main destination, Praia do Futuro. Before getting to the beach, let's take a glimpse at the local fruit market, where a variety of fruits unknown to us but growing almost wild here are sold, such as seringuelas, acerolas or atas. we have arrived at the paradise of bathers' dreams, Praia do Futuro. This 8-kilometer-long beach, the most popular in Fortaleza, is characterized by clear water, huge waves and good infrastructure. Praia do Futuro awaits lovers of the sea in tropical climate, with clean air cooled by a permanent light breeze from the sea all year round. After a swim in the daytime, you can't miss a pleasant evening stroll through the folk art fair in Avenida Beira-Mar. While marveling at and buying different folk arts and crafts products, you can hear exotic sounds of the atabaque and the berimbau. The first stop on our journey southeast of Fortaleza is one of the most beautiful beaches of Beberibe, a village 80 kilometers away from the city, Morro Branco Beach. It's renowned not only for the quiet surroundings and the crystal water, but also for the long stretching wall faces of dark red sand, in which erosion from rain and the continuous wind formed monumental, ever-changing labyrinths. The dominant color of the sand face is dark red, but closer inspection of the layers reveals 12 distinct colors. Clever craftsmen in the area make glass landscapes using the sands of different color, which are unique and so a huge success among tourists. Moving further on to the southeast, we are coming to Canoa Quebrada, a remote fishing village 167 kilometers from Fortaleza. It was hippies who discovered it in the 1970s, and since then there has been no more peace and quiet. Tourism started to replace fishing, which until then had been the only living for the inhabitants. The hippies are well over 50 now, but the place continues to attract those longing for the freedom of life. The hustle and bustle goes on around the clock, and after sunset visitors can find lots to do and try in the high street, including an international cuisine. It is a good idea to spend at least a night or two here, as wonderful natural sights can be found in the vicinity, easy to reach by sailing boat or by buggy. After a 10-minute drive away from Canoa Quebrada in a buggy on the seaside, erosion-shaped sandwalls appear, similar to those on Morro Branco beach. The locals call the place Garganta do Diabo because of the freshwater springs rising in the walls. Found on the way back to Canoa Quebrada, the sculptures chiseled in the sand walls called Pousada Refugio Dourado are an extraordinary sight. Having visited the open-air museum, designed by local artist Toinho, we are saying goodbye to the east coast of the state of Ceará. We are amazed by the natural beauty and the quiet of Jericoacoara, a remote fishing village in former times, 300 kilometers northeast of Fortaleza. Although tourists arrive here from different parts of the world these days, the peace seems to be preserved, perhaps as a result of a regulation introduced in 1984, which declared the village and its surroundings a nature reserve. To enhance this status and to provide greater preservation value, in 2002, Jericoacoara National Park was established. Its territory is a mere 8,400 hectares and is bordered by the fishing village of Preá, 10 kilometers to the east, and the river Guriu, 5 kilometers to the west. In the south, a 5-kilometer wide strip of the park extends into the sand dunes along the freshwater lakes called Lagoa da Jijoca. One of the most exciting sights of Jericoacoara is the Pedra Furada. A 45-minute walk 3 kilometers north of the village, taken on the shore at low tide, takes us to the only craggy coastline in the area where the Pedra Furada can be found. Boats can't land here because of the underwater cliffs all around. If you don't feel like walking, you can ride in a buggy from the opposite direction and reach the Pedra Furada after a 500-meter walk on the rocky shore. The view will make you wonder how many thousand years it took for the waves to make this hole in the enormous stone block. The view is even more breathtaking in July, when you can watch the sun set into the ocean through the cavity. Having taken a long view, we are heading back to Jeri, by buggy of course. Don't expect motorways, or even an ordinary asphalt road, since building roads is forbidden by law here. Motor vehicles mustn't go onto the sand dunes. For transport, visitors can rely on the local buggy drivers who find their way anywhere in the area. oasis of Jeri, as it is called by the inhabitants, is quiet, although the preparations for the ritual to be held at sunset are already on the way. The atmosphere to the event will be created by members of the Capoeira Society, who also instruct visitors from all over the world in their art of movement. Those who don't want to miss the view of the setting sun gather at different spots of Jeri. The huge sunset dune right on the shore is a spacious viewing point for anybody who would like to watch the sun set into the ocean. While the sun's going down in a spectacular scene, candles are lit in the bars on the seaside and time is spent lightheartedly until the early hours. With no public lighting, guests outside are fascinated by the incredibly bright tropical sky full of stars on cloudless nights. Jeri offers outing destinations on nearby beaches and dunes full of experiences. Untouched nature can be reached heading to the west, towards Tatajuba. On the way, local fishermen can be seen mending their trawl nets. Praia da Mangue Seco, that is, the beach of the dry mangrove, is 2 or 3 kilometers away from Jericoacoara. It's the self-destructive force of nature that shows here as we look at the sad, dried remainders of mangrove shrubs covered in sand dunes. Five kilometers from Jeri, we reach the river Griu. Crossing it, we get in a boat to go on a short ride and pan the bank. The mangroves hide a rich fauna, a variety of crabs among others. And guess what? Our sharp-eyed guide has noticed a seahorse, which perfectly adapted itself to the environment. Our way towards Tatajuba, the fishing village under sand, is lined by more dried-out mangroves. In the area where we are moving now, once there was a fishing village called Tatajuba, which in the middle of the 1970s got covered in sand dunes in the course of a few days. The ruins of the walls can still be seen. The inhabitants built New Tatajuba on the opposite side of the great lake Lagoa Grande. The lake is supplied by the river Tatajuba in the rainy season from January to July. The sand accumulated during this period is carried back to the ocean by the river. There are several dunes and lakes continuously changing their size around the settlement. The Duna da Funil is particularly popular with sandboarders. It looks like a closed funnel, the bottom of which gets filled with water by the middle of the rainy season, so you can slide straight into the water. The curved lake, Lagoa Torta, is undoubtedly one of the finest freshwater lakes around Tatajuba. The water is suitable for bathing and sports too. You can order fresh crowfish from one of the snack bars on the shore, lying in a hammock with its paws in the water. We are saying goodbye to Jericoacoara, enjoying the early morning atmosphere of another, no less frequented lake, Lagoa da Jijoca. We are sure we won't easily forget Jericoacoara National Park. Actually, we are already thinking about our next visit. Goodbye, Jeri. The next stop in our itinerary is Natal, a beautiful city full of happiness and hospitable people, where there's always sunshine and there's always the sea. Natal, another jewel in the northeast, is the capital of the state of Rio Grande do Norte. Due to the ideal climate and its geographical location, it is one of the most popular holiday destinations for Brazilians and foreigners as well. The city and its area are a real paradise for tourists, providing facilities for a whole range of activities, including sports and relaxation. Massive infrastructure has been built to meet touristic demands, providing the inhabitants with jobs and secure living. Lots of beaches in and outside the city await holiday makers in a never-ending summer. The most popular ones in town are Praia dos Artistas, near the city centre, and Praia da Ponta Negra, 15 kilometers south of the centre. Natal is one of the oldest cities in Brazil. It was founded on Christmas Day, the 25th of December, 1599. That is why it is called Natal, that is Christmas. The foundation was closely connected to the building of the Fortress of the Magi, Fortaleza dos Reis Magos, the construction of which was started by the Portuguese on the right-hand side of the estuary of the river Potengi on Epiphany Day, the 6th of January 1598. It took 30 years to build the fortress, first of sun-dried bricks and later of stone, transported continually from Portugal. In 1633, it was captured by the Dutch, who held it and the town for 21 years. The Fortaleza dos Reis Magos is part of the World Heritage and is one of the best preserved historic buildings in Brazil. It's open to the public every day. The city prison, built in the 19th century, was in use until the 1970s. Since 1988, it has been part of the state historic heritage. Today, with the cells converted, it houses a permanent folk crafts fair called Centro de Turismo, where all the products of the rich northeastern folk crafts tradition are available. The oldest church of Natal, which was destroyed in 1654, once stood in the city centre in the place of the Igreja Matriz da Nossa Senhora da Apresentação church. The Igreja de Santo Antonio, the third Baroque church of the city, built in 1766, can also be found in the old city centre. The bustling nightlife of the city is concentrated on two beaches, on Praia dos Artistas and Ponta Negra. Locals and tourists of all ages will find countless bars and restaurants that stay open till the small hours. Where music is played, it'll almost certainly be the highly popular folk music.
Você vai ser meu amor, você vai ser meu amor, e eu vou ser o seu amor. Seria bem eu lhe deixasse. Quando você me encontrar, meu coração vai lhe falar. Meu coração não tá cegando, é só você acreditar. Eu vou lhe deixar quando te vejo. O meu desejo é quando te abraçar. O seu coração é nesse beijo. É desse jeito que a gente vai se amar. Eu vou lhe deixar quando te vejo. O meu desejo é quando te abraçar.
On the corner of Rua Apogee and Avenida Prudente de Moraes, the Zastras Folk Revue has been receiving audiences since 1983. Except Sunday, high-quality performances show from 8 p.m. till midnight, and while taking delight in the dances and music of the Northeast, folk craft souvenirs can also be bought.
Capoeira é só pra homem.
Quem vai dizer capoeira é só pra homem?
Mas não é capoeira é pra homem e mulher.
Mas não é capoeira pra homem e mulher.
Eu disse, mas não é capoeira é pra homem e mulher.
Mas não é capoeira pra homem e mulher.
Ô, tindolelê, capoeira é capoeira e ele joga com você.
Tindolelê, capoeira é capoeira e ele joga com você.
Ô, tindolelê, capoeira é capoeira e ele joga com... Opa! Mas pra cama tem embaixo e pra cama tem embaixo. Oh, yeah! Tchá! Axé Brasil!
Natal offers excellent opportunities for one-day outings. We arrive at the popular beach of Pirangi do Norte, 10 kilometers south of Ponta Negra, where the biggest cashew tree in the world can be seen. The head of the tree, takes up 8,500 square meters, and it's been genetically proved that all the branches stem from one root. The enormous size is a result of natural mutation. The tree yields 60,000 nuts once a year, which can be eaten by visitors. From Pirangi, it takes 1 hour in a buggy to get to Praia da Pipa, the most beautiful southern beach in the small state of Rio Grande do Norte. Just like Canoa Quebrada, the picturesque small fishing village was discovered by hippies in the 1970s, and it has attracted thousands of tourists longing for the quiet and beauty of nature from all over the world. A lot of them just can't resist the temptation of this earthly paradise and settle down here to get engaged in the developing tourist industry. Everybody can find the place and activity they are looking for in and around the village. The surroundings have a number of natural sites which makes Pipa the favorite of the south coast. There are less frequented, almost undisturbed beaches as well. In the center, the beach best cared for is Praia da Pipa. It is ideal for those who would like to spend time and relax comfortably in homely surroundings. At low tide, the warm water in the basins, formed among the cliffs, are fun for small children and their families. Just a little further away, beyond the cliffs, brave surfers are enjoying the waves. It is partly due to them that this wonderful place was put on the touristic map. As the high tide's coming in, we can go on a short but memorable boat trip to the nearby beach in the Bay of Dolphins. Dolphins are very friendly by nature, so we can even swim near them. Pipa, a part of the civil parish of Cibao do Sul, is regarded as one of the most beautiful and most frequented beaches in Brazil, a reputation earned not only by the gorgeous beauty of the nature, but also by the infrastructure of international quality. As is shown in these pictures, man and architecture too are organically linked with nature. The lively, cosmopolitan nightlife in Pipa is concentrated in the high street and a few side streets. The street fair abounds in handcrafts, and whatever you're looking for, you can be sure to find it at one of the stalls. French, Italian, Japanese, and of course traditional Brazilian cuisines are represented on the menus of restaurants. It is time for us to be leaving Pipa, although the picture we have shown of this sacred place of ecology is far from being full. There are nearly 4,000 buggies running in Natal, most of them serving purposes of tourism. These vehicles, specially designed and developed for running on sand, are indispensable in inter-dune and beach transport around Natal. Our next buggy tour is taking us to the coast north of Natal to see the most beautiful and the largest dunes and the freshwater lakes hidden among them. The truth is that you just can't miss this program if you're fond of exciting sports. Crossing the river Potengi, we're heading for Genipabu, a place of interest 25 kilometers from Natal. The huge drifting dunes of Genipabu are under preservation. The ecological park can only be entered by registered buggy drivers who are familiar with the dunes moving because of the continuous winds from the sea. We take a short break on top of the dunes to marvel at the view of the ocean. The picture is enriched by a dromedary imported from the Canary Islands. Our journey continues and we cross the river Siaramirin on a raft. The next beach to reach is Praia da Pitangi. The bay, surrounded by protective rock faces, provides safe bathing even for children. Next to the beach, a lake of a real family paradise, Lagoa da Pitangi, can be found. For the more adventurous, Lagoa de Jacumã could be the right place to increase their adrenaline level. The attraction of the lake is gliding down a 50-meter high dune on a cableway. As they approach the surface of the lake, they jump into the water. From time to time, our buggy sinks into the sand, but as it is a lightweight vehicle, we soon get it out of trouble. At the end of our journey, we arrive at Cabo de São Roque, a special place on the South American continent. This is the point on the continent nearest Africa, which had its significance during the Second World War. If the place is special, so is the Mandacaru cactus vegetation, which is proof that the climate is dry in spite of the closeness of the ocean and the equator. Another site here is the Tree of Love, which looks like two interweaving trees. Somewhat tired, we arrive back at the river Potengi in Natal when it is already getting dark. Crossing the river on a ferry to the side of the city, we make our way to the fishing port without any hesitation to see the most fabulous sunset in Natal over the river Potengi. pictures of the sunrise the next day, Goodbye Natal, the city of sunshine.
Não será ou viver melhor sozinho? E se for mais fácil pra me perdoar? O amor, às vezes só confunde a gente, não sei. Mas você pode ser indiferente. O amor, às vezes só confunde a gente, não sei. Mas você pode ser inadimplente, coração. Mas sempre o coração fala mais alto que a razão. O Ed sabe o que é isso, né, Ed?
É isso aí.
O cabo apaixonado, cara anda léguas.
10 anos de praia, né, Michel?
Pode crer.